What is going on, Fight Feeders? Welcome back to Fight Feed. Today, I am going to be fixing the log jam that is currently happening in the featherweight division of the UFC. We're going to take a look at the current UFC featherweight rankings as of November 4th, 2025, and dive into what matchups I feel that should be made, not only for that upcoming potential title bout, and I'll give you guys a little scoop on what I think is going to happen just based on what the rankings are saying. And then I think from there, making any matchups for those lower parts of the rankings so we can see some movement in the featherweight division. Make sure you guys give this video a like. It really, truly helps out my channel. I've appreciated all of you, especially those of you who have come in pretty much on the ground floor as this channel is continuing to grow. And so I just want to say thank you guys so much for your support. If you could please throw a like on this, it would mean the absolute world to me. I want to also say shout out to my 3 members currently. I have 3 members. Never thought I would have any. One of them is actually one of my best friends, but 2 of them are true fight feeders, and I cannot thank you both enough. So Ben, Kim, and Quinn, thank you guys for being members of Fight Feed. It truly means the world to me, and I hope that you guys enjoy this content. Let's dive into the featherweight rankings. All right, guys, so I've got the featherweight rankings pulled up here, okay? And so the first part of this video that I wanted to go through was just talking about what I think is going to happen in the featherweight championship title picture, okay? As of recent, like if you looked at these rankings like a week ago or a few weeks ago, I don't believe that Movsar Evloev was actually touted as the #1 guy. This is the first time I am seeing this on their website, okay? Movsar was recently like #3, and for whatever reason, him and Yair Rodriguez were tied at like the 3 spot for a while. But with this recent shift, I am thinking that Movsar Evloev, guys, I don't know what his injury is. So if you guys could do me a favor, if any of you have knowledge on what Movsar's current injury is that pulled him out of the Pico fight, comment below and let me know. Because I haven't been able to find any like accurate information on that. But like assuming that this injury is not something that's going to keep him out for a year, right? Assuming this injury is something that he's already healed up and now he'll be able to get back in there by February of 2026, I actually believe Movsar may finally get that title shot that he's been gunning for, that a lot of fans have been notably supporting, which I can understand because, you know, Movsar's on a crazy streak himself. So I'm thinking that Movsar's likely to get that shot in February. If it's not Movsar, it's definitely, it's likely to be Diego Lopes, in my opinion, just based off the fact that Diego was #1 contender, I think, or not, he wasn't the #1 contender, really, but was up there at the top of the rankings, right? Because his last fight prior to fighting Silva was losing to Volk, right? So he was at the very top, but now he's, you know, defended that spot against another ranked opponent in Silva in devastating fashion. So I could see Diego. Diego's got a fan base too, guys. Like a lot. I'm a huge fucking Diego Lopes fan. So I could see Diego also getting penciled in for that. Now, I think Movsar is more deserving of it, but if Movsar is injured and Volk is looking to defend, we know Volk was trying to defend in December, and it looks like the UFC had different plans, right? I do think that Lerone Murphy's getting the shit end of the stick, though, guys, because I feel like Lerone Murphy stepped in on short notice, took on a massive challenge in Aaron Pico, because not that Aaron Pico is necessarily, I am one of those guys who, when these other fighters come from different promotions, I'm always like, that's great. You did great things in that promotion, but I need to see it to believe it in this promotion just because I know the level of talent in the UFC. And so I could see people debating like Pico's not that big of a challenge, and Lerone Murphy proved that. But Pico is a very good fighter, and I think that Lerone Murphy had everything to lose in that fight, right? He had everything to lose or take the opportunity and get everything to gain, but he has to show up and show out. And guys, he fucking did that, right? He really showed up and showed out. He KO'd Aaron Pico, devastating. It was a devastating KO, and it was a spinning elbow KO right after Carlos Prtes got his spinning elbow KO, giving us like back-to-back spinning elbow KOs, which was nuts. So with that, I think that if Diego gets that shot, I think Lerone's kind of getting screwed, but I think the next best thing you could do in this position is, let's assume Movsar and Volk are fighting in February. Okay? You know what? No, we're going to do this. We're going to assume Movsar, and it's either Movsar or Diego. So take them both kind of like out of the picture for now, right? We'll look at everybody else in the rankings, right? So Yair Rodriguez, I think he's injured too. Don't know what his injury is, but I'm thinking Yair Rodriguez, he took on Pitbull, who was not ranked, right? So I think okay, I'm going to take it back a notch. Let's just say Movsar is fighting Volk, as I said before. I think we could do a Diego Yair Rodriguez. That could be a #1 contenders fight, okay? Have those two go at it, assuming Movsar gets his shot. That's one route because of the history there, right? But I think the UFC, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like the UFC is going to ice that one, right? So what I mean by that is I could see the UFC waiting to see if Diego could actually get back into the title picture and then give that could be a huge title fight, right? So it's hard to say. Fuck, man, because I don't want Lerone. People were saying Lerone is going to fight Aljamain Sterling. I would actually not mind seeing Lerone go up against any one of those top 3 guys, whether it be Movsar, Diego, or Yair. If he's not going to get the title shot, that he being Lerone, then I think Lerone could fight any one of those guys who's also not getting the title shot, okay? So basically, I'm going to say whoever's getting the title shot between Movsar and Diego, they're out of the picture. Whoever's not should have to fight Lerone. I think we should do a Yair versus like a Youssef Zalal, or a Yair versus an Aljo. I think that's a fun matchup, okay? And you know what? Let's just do that. Let's just say Yair goes up against Aljo. Lerone goes up against either Movsar or Diego Lopes, whoever's not getting that title shot. That's what I would do in this case, okay? And guys, if I'm looking off to the right, it's because that's where I have the rankings. The screen that you guys are on is over to my other right, like my far right. But anyways, next, what I would do, guys, is I would take, and this is actually just coming off of a huge win with Steve Garcia, right? Now #8 in the rankings. I think you put Steve Garcia up against Arnold Allen, okay? And the reason why is because I also could see Youssef Zalal, given that Zalal is actually teammates with David Onama. There's a bit of a story there. But I feel like it's better to have Steve, at least he just fought back in the rankings. And so now, like, making him fight only one ranking spot up is kind of BS in my opinion. I think he should at least get like a number, get promoted twice if he can. So I think Steve versus Arnold Allen, especially because that matchup would be fireworks. That's 2 guys that are just going to bring it. They're going to throw fucking haymakers. It's going to be a fun one. That's going to be a firework type matchup. Get Steve versus Arnold Allen, okay? I don't know where Arnold Allen's been. So I would also love if you guys could comment below and let me know if you have any details on that, because I haven't seen anything from Arnold Allen in a while. I think he's injured, but hopefully he's coming back to fight soon because I love watching him fight. I think he last fought that's what I thought. He last fought on the England card in 2024. So it's been over a year now, almost a year and a half that we haven't seen Arnold Allen in there. Time is flying by. So then you got, okay, guys, this is fucking ridiculous to me. You got Brian Ortega and Josh Emmett. I respect, but like they're just holding these ranking spots at this point. They're just stuck here. And that's why we're seeing like Giga Chikadze getting matched up with Kevin Vallejos, because he's outside the rankings, but it's clear the UFC's starting to, make those matchups so we can get some new blood in these rankings, okay? Potentially. Now, you put Steve Garcia with Arnold Allen. I think Youssef Zalal goes up. He can't go up against Josh Emmett because he just took him out. I think you put John Silva. Do a John Silva versus Youssef Zalal. That's a fun fight, okay? Now, it's not the greatest fight. Like, it's not the best from a marketing perspective, I would say, but because I think Youssef's a very good fighter, but I think that his style for some fans might not be as entertaining. And so I could see people shaking their heads at John Silva getting matched up with him. But I do feel like John Silva, because he's been so popular, he's gotten some nice matchups. This could be a fun matchup for him, a winnable matchup, but it's winnable for both guys. I think Youssef Zalal has skills that he could bring to the table that could make it a tricky fight for John Silva, and vice versa. So it's a fun fight in that regard. And then, dude, what do we do with Josh Emmett and Brian Ortega? I mean, Josh Emmett is he 41 now? I mean, come on, man. I love Josh Emmett, but dude, come on, man. 40, turning 41. Like, I don't know how long he's really going to be there, guys. And he's still at the number 10 spot. So, I mean, I don't know if you do Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega has talked about going to lightweight. I would imagine that after his last situation, they're probably going to make him move up. So I don't even know how long Brian Ortega is staying here. Guys, I don't even know what to do with Josh Emmett and Brian Ortega at this point. But I'm thinking John Silva goes Youssef Zalal. So now we have Patricio Pitbull. I think you could do Patricio Pitbull versus Aljo. Yeah, I'd say Patricio Pitbull versus Aljo. Do that. That's a fun matchup. That's a guy who's got some grappling, some jiu-jitsu, could give Aljo problems, but I think Aljo could give him problems. That's a fun matchup. And then we've got Dan Ige at the tail end here. I think you could put Dan Ige up against like a Brian Ortega. If Brian Ortega is sticking around, I don't know that he will be. And then David Onama just lost. And Giga Chikadze, him and David Onama kind of had that matchup where, it was a close fight. Onama won. But I think Onama, I don't know who to match him up with. I think he's probably going to have to potentially be a gatekeeper here. Not that he's a gatekeeper in general. I'm saying he's going to have to fight for his spot here, giving probably one of the younger featherweights that's coming up an opportunity, right? So I am thinking Ige versus, you could do Ige versus Aljo too. Because Dan Ige just lost to Patricio. So I'm thinking Patricio goes with Aljo. Steve Garcia versus Arnold Allen. Youssef Zalal versus Jean Silva. Or you could do Dan Ige versus Jean Silva. But I think that the issue with that is they're fighting right next to each other in the rankings. And sometimes I don't like that, guys, because I think that it just feels like pointless, right? To go up and fight a guy who's one ranking ahead. So let's just say Aljo goes up against a Patricio Pitbull, gives Patricio an opportunity to fight up. But Aljo, guys, has kind of deserved an opportunity to potentially also fight upwards as well. It's really hard, guys. There's a logjam in this fucking division. But I think Patricio goes up against Aljo, and then you got Arnold Allen versus Steve Garcia. That's a great matchup if they can make that. Youssef Zalal welcomes John Silva back up again. That's a great matchup as well. And then you've got Ige versus, I guess you'd have to do Ige versus like a Yair, guys. Like I think you do Ige versus Yair. So we'll go Ige versus Yair, Zalal versus Jean Silva, Arnold Allen versus Steve Garcia, Lerone Murphy versus either Diego or Movsar, whoever's not fighting for the title. And then either Movsar or Diego gets in there for the title shot, which is happening in February. I think that's pretty much confirmed at this point without being confirmed, but I think everybody knows what's about to happen. As I mentioned, Giga Chikadze is locked up with Kevin Vallejos. So I think if you make those matchups, if you take Diego or you take Yair, put him up against like a Dan Ige, or you could even do Yair versus Jean Silva too. That can be a bit of a scrappiness there. But I think taking a look aside of Yair, you've got Lerone fighting whoever is not tied up in the title matchup for the number one contender spot. So Lerone versus Diego or Movsar. Then we got Arnold Allen versus Steve Garcia, Youssef Zalal versus Jean Silva. Like I said, not sure what to do with Ortega and not sure what to do with Josh Emmett at this point. I don't even know how long these guys are sticking around. But then you've got Pitbull versus Aljo, and there you go. Problem solved. That'll get us some movement. And then I think for the guys at the tail end, like Giga Chikadze, David Onama, I think they need to welcome a couple guys to fight for that ranking spot, because then that could either, they secure that spot and then they've earned that right to fight upwards, or they get beaten and they lose that spot. I think that either way, you have a solid situation there that could potentially fix this logjam that's at featherweight. Featherweight's not the only division, guys. There's several other logjams happening right now in the UFC. But today we're just talking about featherweight. So hopefully you guys will comment below and let me know what you guys are thinking in terms of these matchups. What do you feel like are the best matchups to make to clear up this logjam in the featherweight division? Would love to hear from you all. So please comment below. Thank you guys for watching. And also please smash that fucking like button and subscribe to Fight Feed if you haven't already. Love you guys. I'll see you in the next one.